You know, we hear a ton about the code and the data that power artificial intelligence. But what about the ideas? Today, we're going to go under the hood and explore the hidden intellectual universe, the pure, beautiful mathematics that actually gives AI the ability to think. Okay, let's just dive right in. Take a look at this. What you're seeing is a little glimpse inside the mind of a learning AI. This isn't lines of code, it's a heat map, and it's showing how connections are getting stronger, how information is flowing. It's so complex, it's beautiful. It almost looks alive, doesn't it? This, right here, is what thinking looks like in the language of math.
So what is really going on in there? Is it just some fantastically complicated program doing what it's told? Or is it something more? Well, the answer is actually buried in centuries of pure mathematics.
Okay, so first things first. We need to get our heads around how an AI sees the world. It doesn't really operate on simple yes or no logic. Not at all. It lives in this constant world of uncertainty. And to navigate that, it needs a very special language, probability. You could call it the language of chance.
And this is really the key. Instead of just following a rigid set of instructions, a modern AI is constantly calculating the likelihood of things. It's asking, how probable is it that this is a picture of a cat? Or what's the chance this next move is the one that's going to win the game? Everything becomes a calculated probability, a shade of gray. And this is a perfect way to picture how that works. On the left, you've got probability theory, the abstract rules of chance. And on the right, you've got a random walk, which is basically what happens when you let those rules run wild. An AI is essentially performing this incredibly sophisticated random walk through a giant maze of possibilities, always sniffing out the most likely path to the right answer.
But, and this is a huge but, dealing with probability on the scale of an AI, with billions and billions of variables, well, it's not so simple. You can't just count cards, right? You need a way to map out and navigate these impossibly vast, even infinite spaces of information. And to do that, we had to invent entirely new kinds of math.
So here's how it all stacks up. Think of it like a building. At the very top, you have probability, which we just talked about. It handles all that uncertainty. But for probability to work at this insane scale, it needs a playground, a structured space to exist in. That space, that next floor down, is created by something called functional analysis. And then holding the whole thing up, the absolute bedrock foundation, is logic and set theory. That's what provides the fundamental rules for everything.
Here is a perfect way to think about it. If probability is the vocabulary an AI uses to describe the world, then functional analysis is its grammar. It gives it the rules for how all those mathematical ideas can be combined and interact with each other inside these enormous abstract spaces.
All right, strap in. We're going to do a quick tour of the intellectual engine room. We start here with functional analysis. This is the core framework that lets mathematicians treat entire, crazy complex processes, like, say, identifying a person in a photo, as if they were just single points in a vast mathematical space. It's literally how you start to organize infinity.
Next up, you've got measure theory. I mean, in an infinite space of ideas, how do you even define size or importance? Well, measure theory gives you the tools. It's kind of like giving the AI a special ruler to measure and compare abstract concepts, helping it decide which pathways are more significant than others.
And oh, it gets deeper. Operator algebras give it the syntax for taking action. They describe how things change and transform inside these spaces. So, if functional analysis is the grammar, then these things are the verbs of this mathematical language. The words for to rotate, to scale, to combine.
And the list just keeps on going into even more specialized fields. Look, we don't need to get all the details, but what's so important is to just appreciate the sheer depth of human thought that's been poured into building these tools. And all of it, every last bit, rests on one final fundamental layer.
Now, we've arrived at the bottom layer, the absolute foundation, the ground upon which all of that other math, and actually all of mathematics, is built. This is the logic of everything.
It all boils down to this: set theory. I know, it sounds simple. It's just the study of groups of things. But this is the formal system that defines what a number even is, what a function is, and what it means for something to be logically true or false. It's the whole shebang. This is that deep, fundamental logic that allows us to build consistent, reliable structures. You could almost say it's the ultimate source code for reason itself. It makes sure the entire mathematical building doesn't just collapse in on itself.
So, let's bring it all back home. We started with that kind of mysterious image,
We dove through all these layers of abstract math, and now it's time to put all the pieces back together.
Hey, remember this? Let's look at it one more time. Only now, you're not just seeing an algorithm. You're seeing the ghost of 1,000 beautiful ideas. You're seeing probability theory, functional analysis, measure theory, and fundamental logic, all of it working together in perfect harmony to create one single moment of machine learning. So here's the ultimate takeaway. AI isn't some clever trick of engineering. It is the living, breathing application of some of the most profound and beautiful ideas that humanity has ever come up with. Every single pixel, every single calculation is powered by this incredible universe of abstract thought.
And that just leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? This is the math we're using right now, and a lot of it is a century old. So what happens next? What undiscovered mathematical ideas are still out there, just waiting to be found, that are going to unlock the next generation of artificial minds?